tomorrow likely to draw attention from around the world, not just here in the UK.
Yeah, meanwhile, images of Mr. Trump and the late convicted paedophile Jeffrey Epstein were projected onto the walls of Windsor Castle by protesters. A statement from Thames Valley Police said 4 people have been arrested on suspicion of malicious communications following the stunt in Windsor. Let's speak now to Leslie Vinjamuri, President and CEO of Chicago Council on Global Affairs, for more about this visit. Leslie, great to get your thoughts on this. Firstly, how significant a moment is this for Sir Keir Starmer?
I think for the Prime Minister, it's a very significant moment. Hosting the United States president is always going to be a big deal. Doing it twice for a state visit is even more significant. And hosting Donald Trump is really quite, an exceptional moment. But as we all know, it's coming at a moment when the Prime Minister is under an extreme amount of pressure from his own domestic supporters and adversaries. So it's a very difficult moment, and this trip needs to go well, certainly at the level of optics. I think that the best that can be hoped for is as little drama as possible.
Well, you say little drama as possible. We've already seen those big projections onto Windsor Castle of President Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. Does that cause, is that going to be a cause of concern? Perhaps this is something that Keir Starmer can't seem to shake, given that his very own ambassador to the US, Mr. Mandelson, has had to step down from his position.
There's no doubt that those optics are difficult politically. They're difficult. People are watching this. It's seen, but I think for President Trump, for the Prime Minister, they're not really focused on this. President Trump has made it clear he clearly loves the UK. He couldn't love the royal family more. He takes it very seriously. He loves the pomp and the circumstance, and quite frankly, the attention. We've seen that there will be some very significant announcements on technology. That bodes well. And so I think for Donald Trump, he's not going to be looking at those images. He's focused. His schedule is being very clearly managed. The UK leadership, both the current leadership and the past leadership understand full well that the British public, that the European public is not broadly supportive of Donald Trump. And they frequently, on the last state visit, we remember it well, right? They protested then as well. And the British government has gone to great lengths to keep that away from the president and to really focus his attention elsewhere. So I think that is, that's just part of the story when Donald Trump travels to Europe these days.
Yeah, that's right. Only 16% of Britons in a recent poll said they have a positive view of him. So not a lot of love for President Trump in the UK more broadly. But what will be a success for these two men then? How do you see them coming out of this visit, and what will they be wanting to project?
Well, they're very different leaders. They represent very different countries. Donald Trump, at some level, approaches this visit from a position of great strength. Regardless of, multiple challenges that he's facing, he has managed to get 2 state visits out of the UK leader. He's giving something. He's marshaling a very significant technology deal for the UK. But he is going to get that glory, and that, I think, just plays very well for him. For the Prime Minister, it's a very different story. He's got to manage a public that doesn't like, as you've just suggested with the data, doesn't appreciate the U.S. president, a potentially very volatile U.S. president. He's trying to reset his relationship, the UK's relationship with Europe at a time when, the president isn't really playing ball, whether it's on European security, whether it's on Russia and Ukraine. The optics and the grave situation on the ground in Gaza couldn't be worse. It's gotten even worse in the last 7 or 10 hours. And so the Prime Minister has to be able to, show some distance, show some daylight with the U.S. president to his European partners, to his domestic constituents, hopefully, to try, as previously he's done, and I've said it many times, masterfully, to manage this very difficult relationship. But it's getting more difficult. It's clearly gotten more difficult around the Epstein question, around the sacking of Ambassador Peter Mandelson. And so, for the first 6 months, we were saying, wow, the prime minister has managed us tremendously well. Now it does feel like the pressure is on. Hopefully, the pomp, the circumstance, the technology deal. I mean, a lot of money going into AI infrastructure that could, if it's implemented, create jobs, growth, and a lot of productivity gains potentially for the UK. The upside is serious, but the downside, the potential for downside, is also quite significant.
Yeah, quite high stakes. Thanks very much, Leslie. Leslie Vinjamuri there, President and CEO of the Chicago Council on Global Affairs.